welcome your next comic to the stage, Brenda St. Louis.
Hello, everyone. Following Alfie. How lucky am I? You know, my mom used to tell me that I came out of her with a smile on my face. Yeah, and all my friends say that I have a reverse resting bitch face. But when I was in clown school, my teacher told me I needed to work on this. And he said that for it to be a really good clown, you have to have the full spectrum of emotion, from ecstasy to agony. So I practiced really hard. So do you want to see? Yeah. So this is my ecstasy. Good? Good? Yeah? So this is my agony. It's a problem. I was a terrible clown. You know, as a kid, they called me slow. You know, now they have all those acronyms, but back then it was slow. I don't know about in BC, but in Ontario, they had this graduated reading system where you'd go from yellow, orange, red, blue, green, and everyone would celebrate when they'd graduate to another color. I never passed orange. So they took me out of class and they put me in this special lead class. And they taught you how to read and write and give you extra help. But for the life of me, I couldn't imagine, I didn't know why they called it special lead. We used the same pencils as everyone else. Yeah, I was called slow. But my mom was really good about it. She was so good. She gave me lots of extra help. And she said, Brenda, you're not dumb. God gives everyone different talents. And she would know because she was a nun. Well, before she married my dad, you know. And the thing is, she didn't take her final vows, so she only really dated God. Because my dad was a very religious man, and he would not want to marry a divorcee. Yeah, I grew up the Catholic stuff was pretty crazy. So much crazy, weird shit happened in the Catholic Church. And my mom was like, you know, she was into God and Jesus and all that stuff. And so was my dad, so was everyone in my family. And my dad had this weird affinity to the Pope. He'd always like say, we'd do something bad and he'd go, Brenda, what would the Pope think about that? And I'm like, I don't fucking care what the Pope thinks. You know, so we had this real connection to the Pope. So my mom liked Jesus and God, he liked the Pope, and I had a crush, and I fell in love with my choir director, Nancy Chittle. She was beautiful. Yeah. And you know, when I came out to my family, it was so weird. No one said anything. Like, all the relatives knew, everyone knew, but no one talked about it. So it was like so anticlimactic. It was like, ugh. But like 2 weeks after I came out, my favorite Uncle Clarence got sick and he went in a coma and they had to put a trach in his throat. And we were all in the hospital for 2 weeks, the whole family, and no one said anything. They didn't even say Leslie, because that's what they call you in our Catholic Church. And so we were sitting in the waiting room and they called us up into his room because he was waking up. So we went to his bed and I sat next to his bed and I grabbed his hand and I'm like, hi, Uncle Clarence, it's Brenda, I love you. And he opens his eyes and he looks at me and he's like, because he's like trying to talk, but his trach, then it's spitting when he's talking. And I'm like, what did you say? I love you. And he's like, and I'm like, what? And it's just spitting every time he talks, like his trach is spitting, and he's like, homo, homo, homo. Like, finally, someone acknowledges me. Thank you.
Give it up for Brenda St. Louis.